How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Lamed Gimel, Daf 33 of Masechta Nedarim, friends. We are on Daf 33 of Masechta Nedarim, as I just said. We're going to start the fourth parak of Masechta Nedarim. That's exciting, I think. Right? Yeah, it is. We're about a third of the way through Masechta Nedarim, so everybody pat yourselves on the back. Good job. Let's get started over here. So, we've seen this before. Lamaisi, we saw this in Masechta Megillah, in the first parak by the Ein Bains. Well, here we go. Ein Bain Amudar Anoya Mechaver L'Mudim Yemenu Michael. Oh, so if Shimon says to Reuven, you can't get any benefit from me. Alternatively, Shimon says to Reuven, you can't get any food things from me. What's the difference between those two? Benefit and food things. The nafkamina would be Drisa Saregel, right? Can Reuven walk on Shimon's property? Well, if he can't get any benefit, then no. If he only can't get food-related benefit, well, sure, let him walk on his property. And and vessels that aren't used in food-related things. We're going to give some examples soon. So vessels that aren't used in food-related things, so then Reuven would be able to get benefit from if it's only food-related things that are not allowed. I thought of something funny, I think, earlier when I was preparing, but I don't remember what it was, so sorry. We'll have other opportunities to hear funny things. Let's go weiter. Or not. Maybe that's it. Maybe for the next 4 years, all business. Alright, let's go weiter. Now, Amudar Michael Mechaveru, so a fellow who's simply not allowed to get Michael, food stuff, so Lo Yashilenu Napo Uchvar V'Chaim V'Soner. So if Reuven can't get any food-related benefit from Shimon, so then Shimon cannot lend him a sieve, a sifter, a millstone, an oven. I remember the joke. Let's see if it ties in a funny way. I'll only say it if I think it'll be funny. If not, we're just going to go weiter. And you're just going to be wondering what was so funny. It was very funny though. But a lot of being funny, I think, I don't know. Because I'm not, because I don't know much about being funny. But anyways, but I'm thinking that part of people who are funny, part of the thing is, like, you ever heard the phrase, like, you had to be there? Like, part of humor, I think, is about the context. So, I'll see if the context is right for my big foray into humor. Into the world of humor. So I'll see if everything's right. If the scene is set, so then maybe I'll give it a shot. All right, but I need you to be supportive, because if you're not supportive, I might, right? In design thinking, there's a concept called yes and. Right? If somebody's coming up with a creative idea, you don't want to just shoot it out of the sky, and say that's a stupid idea. You say, yes, that's a good idea, and maybe also this other thing as well. So we want to be supportive. All right. So you can't lend him those, like an oven or whatever. But Shimon would be able to lend to Reuven clothing, a ring, a garment, nose ring. Givaldic. Alright, fine. You want to know what was so funny? What was so funny was, I was thinking, the nose ring, as long as it's not an edible nose ring. Yeah. Right? That's funny, right? An edible nose ring. Anyways, no, but seriously, then I was thinking, sometimes in Babylon Talmud, I just give away these $1 billion ideas, edible nose rings could be the next big thing. Maybe they already have them. Let's go weiter. So, it says the Gemara, Man Tana. So who is this Tana who says that if Shimon can't get any benefit from if Reuven can't get any benefit from Shimon, he can't even walk on his property? That's pretty charif. So Man Tana, who says such a thing? Amar Vada Bar Hava Reb Eliezer. So Eliezer, the Tanya Reb Eliezer Omer, Afilu Viter also b'muder anoya. So for example, sometimes you go. It doesn't happen to me so much. Maybe it does. Maybe I'm just maybe I'm just what's it called? Somebody who kafri tov. Maybe I don't appreciate the good things that happen to me. But maybe I don't know. Think about it. Maybe you go to the Shuk Machne Yehuda and you're buying epis, and they throw in another. You know what? Take this oichet. So the seller, it doesn't make a difference to him. He doesn't even care. Take this too. So even something like that, if he's a mudar anoya, right? If the fellow can't be getting any benefit from the seller, so then the seller can't even just throw in these these other things. So here also, kilu, walking on somebody's property might not be something that the guy cares about that much. But even so, if he's mudar anoya, he can't walk on the guy's property, right? So that was Rabbi Eliezer's opinion, right? Afilu vitor also b'mudar anoya, that even forgetting. Even just saying don't worry about it is not allowed by a mudar anoya. So we said that if Shimon says to Reuven, you can't get any food benefits from me, so he can't even give him an oven. Why can't he give him an oven? You don't eat the oven. It's not an edible oven. Another $1 billion business. Edible ovens. Or maybe not. Anyways, min Michael Nodar. So but what's the problem with the oven? Right? Why can't he lend him an oven? It's not eating the oven. So Amr Shimon ben Lakish, be'omer anoyas ma'achal cha'olai, when he says the benefit of your food, right? You can't get any of the benefit of his food. But maybe if it's the benefit of food that's problematic, maybe it means that he can't, take wheat and chew it up and put it on his wound to help heal his wound. So maybe that's the benefit from the food that we're talking about, not lending him an oven. So when he says no, what's also is any benefit that can lead to food. So for example, lending an oven, you'll use the oven to make something geshmak. So therefore you can't lend the oven because the oven is something that will lead to the benefit of food. Alright, friends, what do you think? Let's go weiter. Amar Papa says a Papa sack lavi Paris, a sack to bring fruits, v'chomer lavi olive Paris, or a donkey that you're going to transport fruits on the donkey. V'afilu tzana ba'almo, or even just a basket in general that I guess could potentially be used for food stuff. Hano mavili de Michael hu. It's considered hanoya, benefit that leads to Michael, to eating and ulcer. Papa asked a kasha. What's his kasha? Sus lirkov olav. What about just a horse to ride on? Vitabas lirozba, or a very fancy looking ring that he could look all nice in, right? Meaning, imagine showing up to a place with his food and you're coming on a nice horse, or you got a nice ring. People are going to say, ooh, this is a nice looking guy. We're going to give him something geshmak. So here you have sort of kind of indirect over here, right? Right, the horse and the ring are just basically giving the guy status that he could then trade in for potentially a geshmak piece of the action. So, Mao, what's the halacha? Mipasik umezu ba'are. Mai. What about, can he take a shortcut on the guy's property to get to a restaurant faster? So it's benefit that essentially leads to a geshmak suda. So Tashma. So what do we say? So come here. So we said in the Mishnah that if a guy is not allowed to get benefit from the other guy, so he can lend him nonetheless garment, nose rings, other rings. So right now, so heichidami, right? So meaning, so he had asked about a horse to ride on or a ring to wear. So now the Mishnah had said that rings are allowed. So heichidami, Now, if in the Mishnah, when it says that he can lend him a garment or nose rings and other rings and stuff, so if he's lending it to him stam, and we're saying that it's allowed if he's muder mimenu meichel, so tzricha l'meimer, obviously he can lend it to him. I don't know, the guy's not allowed to get any food-related things. Obviously he can lend him a ring. So lab afilu le'ro's boin. So it must be that the chiddush is that the chiddush is that in a situation where he's lending him a ring, but it's a ring that could be traded in for a geshmak piece of food, right? You'll show up at the banquet with your nice ring, and then people are going to give you a geshmak morsel. So then, what about that? So again, meaning, if it's just stam a ring, so who cares? What does that have to do with food? So it must be that the Mishnah is talking about a ring that could potentially give you a geshmak morsel. So the katani mashilo, and we're saying that he's allowed to lend it to him. So lo, the olam shelo leiros. No. Really, the Mishnah is talking about a ring that is not intended to be worn at some kind of a banquet so that you can get a geshmak morsel. It's not talking about that. It's talking about stamazoy, a ring. So, but obviously he could lend him stamazoy, a ring. Why shouldn't he be able to lend him stamazoy, a ring? He only can't get benefit from food. What does this have to do with food? So, it doesn't have anything to do with food. But because the Mishnah had initially mentioned things that he can't, that he can't lend him, like an oven. So he listed things that you can lend him, but it has nothing to do with food. I mean, these are just kind of random objects. All right, sounds nice to me. Let's go weiter. Now, when it comes to things that we don't use for food, well, but if they normally rent out these things, well, then it's also right. So if Reuven can't get any benefit from Shimon, so then Shimon can lend to. I'm sorry. If Reuven can't get any food-related benefit from Shimon, so Shimon can lend him on food things unrelated to food. However, the Mishnah says if, however, these are things that are normally rented out, right? Things that normally you rent out, so then by Shimon giving it to him for free, he's saving money, and that money can then be used for food. You hear that? Right, so that even when it comes to things unrelated to food, if it's makom shemaskirin kayot ziboin, if it's a place where normally they would rent it out, and therefore by Reuben getting it for free, he's saving money, and that money can be invested in food or spent on food. Invested in food. I think that was once who was that comedian? Jackie Mason. He had something about how the price of bread always goes up, so he's going to invest his money in bread. Anyways, I think he has that. So also. So if normally they rent out those things and he's going to save the money and he can use that money on food, so then it's also. So michal dereisha afal pi she'ein maskirin, which implies that when it comes to the reisha, right, things that are food related. So we're saying things that are food related, right, like an oven, for example, even though it's something that they don't normally rent out. Normally they just give them for free, and therefore, right, even if Shimon is going to give him an oven, he's not going to, right, he's going to lend him an oven, and generally people aren't paying for ovens anyways. Still, it's not going to be allowed. Montana, who is that? Tana Omer Vada Barahav, Eliezer, it's Rabbi Eliezer, who we had seen earlier, says that even things that aren't, people don't care too much about, right? Such as, for example, walking through somebody's field or something. So here also, even if ovens people just give away normally, still, it would not be allowed since ovens are related to food. Says the next Mishnah, so if Reuven cannot get any benefit from Shimon, we saw this in Masech Ksubis, at the end of Masech Ksubis, that if Reuven can't get any benefit from Shimon, nonetheless, Shimon can pay his machzis shekel, right? Once a year, you have to pay the machzis shekel to the Beis Hamikdash, and it's used for the communal korbanos, as we learned in Masechta Shkalim, which was a very, very difficult Masechta. Nonetheless, Shimon can pay Reuven's machzis shekel. If Reuven owes money to Levi, to some other person, Shimon can pay it for him, can pay the debt for him. Even right, so even though Reuven can't get any benefit from Shimon, Shimon can pay his debt for him. He could pay his machzis shekel for him, machzor lo savidaso, and Shimon can return the lost object to Reuven. Right, so if Reuven loses an object, so Shimon can return it to him. Makom shenotlin aleh sacher. Now, if it's a place that normally you pay, right, the custom is to pay somebody for returning a lost object, so paying Shimon, tipal hanoya lehektish. So then that hanoya goes to hektish. So that hanoya goes to hektish. And this is going to have to be talking about a situation where not only doesn't Reuven get benefit from Shimon, but also Shimon doesn't get benefit from Reuven. Although the Ran is an interesting pshat, which is that meaning if we're talking about where Reuven can't get benefit from Shimon, so it's talking about where if Shimon doesn't want to accept the payment, right? So meaning if Shimon returns a lost object to Reuven, so then if it's a place where Reuven would generally pay Shimon for having returned the lost object, in the event that Shimon doesn't want to accept the money, well then, by being mochelet, by saying to Reuven, look, it's okay, you can keep the money, Reuven will be benefiting from Shimon. So in that case, the money goes to hektish. Alright, very interesting. Says the Gemara, Alma, avruche ari ba'almahu, vishari. So we see that Shimon paying off Reuven's debt for Reuven, it's not considered benefiting Reuven, it's just considered like chasing away a lion. Right? It's as if, like, right, Reuven owes money to a creditor, and Shimon is paying the creditor. It's like he's chasing a lion away from Reuven. He's not giving anything to Reuven. He's not benefiting Reuven directly. There was a lion, his creditor, and he's chasing him away by paying him off. And that therefore we're saying is okay. Vishari, so Mantana. So who is the Tana who says it? So Amar Rav Hoshaya zo divrei Chonon. So Rav Hoshaya says that is specifically the opinion of Chonon. We learned about this in Masechta Ksubis, and we're gonna revisit Chonon's opinion in a minute. Rava Amar says Rava afilu tema divrei hakol. You can actually say it's everybody, not just Chonon, but also the rabbis, because Gabi Mudra Anoya the Yoiv Almanash Shelo Lifro, that by the case of the debt, it's talking about where Reuven had a debt, right? Reuven had borrowed some money, but he borrowed it on terms where he could really pay it back whenever, right? And therefore, by Shimon paying back Reuven for Reuven, he's not really benefiting Reuven, because it's not like Reuven was in a pinch. He had a deal where he can just pay it back like at any time. Now, my Chonon. So what's this Chonon opinion? So the Tananis, we learned in the Mishnah, and Avkuv Zayin on Mebez of Masechta Ksubis, Mishalach Medina Sayom, if you have a fellow who goes traveling, Ve'omad Echad Ufinis Esishto. Now, he didn't take his wife, and his wife is hungry. So somebody comes and he says, look, I'll pay for her mizonis. Chonon Omer Iberes Ma'osav. So Chonon says, look, he lost his, it was very nice of that guy to pay for her food, but the husband didn't ask him to, and therefore he loses his money. Nechliku olav b'nei Kohanim Gedolim, whereas the sons of the Kohanim Gedolim argue on Chonon v'Omer when they said Yeshava Kamaotzi v'Yitol, that he swears how much he expended, right? How much he paid for her food, and then he could take it, right? He can claim that from the husband. Rav Dosa ben Arkinos kedivreim. Rav Dosa ben Arkinos said like the b'nei Kohanim Gedolim. Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai Yofa Omer Chonon, whereas Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says that Chonon Taka says good that this guy loses his money, his payments for her food. Because he basically left his money on the horn of a deer. There's no assumption that he's going to be getting that money back. Okay. So we see that Chonon says that by this guy paying for her food, he's not really doing anything. He's not accomplishing anything. He can't get his money back. He's not accomplishing anything. She needed money, and he just kind of paid it for her. So here also, Reuven, Shimon's just kind of paying off Reuven's debt. Fine. Rava lo Amar Rav Hoshaya. Now Rava, who says that our Mishnah is not just like Chonon, but also like the Chachamim. So he doesn't know like Rav Hoshaya, the Kamukim lo lemasnisin kedivrei hakol, because Rava explains that the Mishnah is really talking about according to everybody, not just according to Chanan, and that's better. Rav Oshai lama kirave. Rav Oshai doesn't agree with Rava, however, because gezer shlo lipara mishum lipara. That because Rav Oshai says, right, Rava can only explain according to, right, that it's according to everybody if you say that it's talking about where Reuven had this kind of loan where he could pay it back whenever he wants, and therefore Shimon isn't really benefiting him. But Rabbi Shai says, but don't you still have to be concerned about a situation where he doesn't have that kind of specific deal, right? And therefore, even right. So therefore, you can't just say that in that case, everybody would agree that that Shimon could pay off his debt, because you have to be right. The rabbis would be concerned about a situation where he doesn't have such a deal. So therefore, he says that Davka, the Mishnah, is according to Chanan. All right. Friends, that was Daf Lamed Gimel of Masechta Nedarim. We started the fourth parak of Masechta Nedarim. We talked about the differences between Mudar Hanoya Mechavera and Mudar Mimenu Meichel Umishte, and we talked about shortcuts and vessels that you don't use for food, and we talked about edible nose rings. So friends, that was Daf Lamed Gimel Masechta Nedarim. I hope you enjoyed. Peace out.